Hello, welcome back to Coaches on a Mission. I'm Dallas Travers. It has been 2 years, almost to the day, since we recorded what I thought was going to be our last episode. But times have changed, my friend, and we are back. I'm very grateful to be here. So if you've been a longtime listener and were really surprised to see my face pop up in your podcast feed, I'm going to fill you in on all of the details around why we're back. I did a farewell episode talking about why we were leaving. I want to update you on what I think differently now than I did then. And then I want to tell you what to expect and kind of take you behind the scenes of my business. So thank you so much for joining me. Coaches on a Mission is a podcast designed to help you, a coach, learn actionable strategies you can apply to your business right away to build sustainability, to have the impact that you want, and to really build something that you're proud of. Now, it's also a place where you can hear what I hope is some very inspiring and excellent coaching, whether that's me coaching guests or the occasional guest expert who comes in and coaches me. More on that in a minute. But I'm just really glad you're here and that you're listening. If you like the show, if you're doing a happy dance right now because we're back, please rate, review, subscribe, do all the things, and even forward this episode to a friend. All right, so I asked some of our Hive members to send me questions, right? If I could take them behind the scenes of the relaunch of the podcast and what's been happening over the last 2 years, what would they want to know? I've compiled those questions and I'm just going to get through as many of them as I can here. So, number one, Dallas, what actually happened? Was there a moment when you knew you needed to stop, or did things just quietly fade out? As for those of you who caught the final episode, what I found, this was not a hard decision to make, all right? Because I tend to be an all or nothing person. It's how I'm wired. I'm just leaning into that. And I was finding that our budget for the production of the podcast, it was costing me just under $4,000 a month. And I wanted to create more profitability in my business. I also worried that I was not doing the job I needed to do to get the podcast into the ears of new listeners. So it was turning into this cycle of creating these really powerful episodes, feeling so proud of myself, right? And so good about them that I wasn't following through on the marketing of the show. So we were creating a lot of excellent content for longtime listeners and not helping them see that as good as the podcast is and as inspiring as it is and all the golden nuggets that you may get, it's not the same as being in a coaching container. So as an all or nothing person, I'm very quick starty. I make decisions. I break something and then figure out how to put it back together. So we decided to stop the podcast. And at the time, it was the right decision. Where I fell short was I didn't really consider what I was going to do instead. Now, things have evolved, and I'll fill you in on that in a moment, but I have never found a process for putting out what we all tend to call nurture content that was more enjoyable for me than the podcast. So I knew I wanted to bring it back. I also knew I could not tolerate bringing it back if we were going to make the 3 mistakes. Mistake number 1, have our production be so expensive. So I want to shout out Tori Boats, who created a very robust automated system that's going to save us. It's going to cost us probably less than $1,000 a month. Could even be less than $500. We'll see, to produce the episodes. So saving us a bunch of money, saving us so much time. Working with her was incredible. So we ticked that box of profitability. The second mistake I'm going to avoid falling into is feeling like I can never take a week off of the podcast. So this time around, we're going to roll out seasons, and then I'll take a little break, and then we'll come back and do a season, and then I'll take a break. So I'm looking at about 12 weeks on, 4 weeks off, 12 weeks on, 4 weeks off. So I hope you enjoy that as a listener as well. And then the third thing that I crossed my heart and pledged to do is a better job of selling, right? And I hope you take a page from this book. We as coaches are built to make an impact. We know so much about our area of expertise. We're so motivated to help people. That can't happen if we fall too far into the nurture content friend zone and forget that the real transformation happens inside of our programs. So I'm going to do a better job of that. And every episode, I'm going to really explain to you how, if you're feeling inspired, you can take what you're learning even further with me as your partner. All right. So that was a very long answer to the first question, which was like, what actually happened? So the next question I want to address, and I have to be honest, I intentionally have not looked at these ahead of time. I wanted this to feel like a conversation between you and me. So here we are. The next question, I thought this was so interesting. Let's look at the next question. So I love this. This is like what everybody wants to know. This is what I would want to know. I love gossip. So I'm going to spill some tea here. What was going on in my life and in my business while the show was dark? Well, it's been 2 years. So a lot of things have changed. In particular, my relationship to the next phase of my work has become so clear. So the last episode aired in July of 2024. This is now, you'll be hearing this July 1st of 2026. Over those 2 years, I took my signature program, the Hive, and restructured it. We simplified it. We made it way more accessible. And I actually made a very important change, which was to remove myself from the program a little bit. Now, this is not some like, if you want to scale, you have to have other coaches come into your program speech. Here's what I learned inside the Hive. 2 years ago, we were running a program that had 6 Q&A calls a month with me, plus all of these other support calls. When you looked at the calendar, it actually ended up being 17. That's just such a shocking number to me. 17 different calls every single month. And what I was uncovering here, I realized, I have created an environment where, in an effort to be available and include everybody and make sure no question goes unanswered, I have created this relationship where Hive members felt like they could and should check in with me before making any sort of move. Right? If you're stuck about which type of lead magnet to create and you know there's a call tomorrow, you're not going to make a decision on that. You're going to come to the call tomorrow. You're going to raise your hand. You're going to ask me. So I realized I'm not living according to one of my core values, which is agency, right? Awareness of choice, an understanding of your options, and ownership of that. So we redesigned the Hive. That's the biggest change that we have made over the last 2 years. Now, instead of a year-long commitment at $650 a month, we've shifted it into a membership. It's $97 a month rather than 8 million calls, rather than 6 coaching calls with me every month. There were other support calls, but I'll just talk about the coaching calls. Now we have 2. I built a pretty robust, with the help of my client success manager, Tracy, I built a pretty robust coaching, like pocket coach who can answer on the fly questions for people. And then I took a step back, and what I have noticed is coaches are making more progress without me being so totally available. So this is a version of over responsibility that can be so sly because, aren't more calls more helpful? In this circumstance, they were not. So not only did we cut out 4 of our 6 calls every month, but we dropped the price. So it's a $97 a month membership, like I mentioned, and you don't have to commit to a year. You can come for as long as it's working for you. Now, what that has also opened me up to do is have more space on my calendar to do 2 things that are very meaningful to me. The first is host more power groups. It's my small group coaching offer. I meet with groups of 4 coaches in a little pod twice a month. So now instead of like one power group that I could kind of squeeze in, most of my coaching time is spent working with power group members. A lot of power group members are like Hive grads, if you will, and they are making really big decisions in their business. They're no longer looking at the foundations, which the Hive does such a good job of helping people lay. Now we're like getting into the nitty gritty and making decisions about staffing or pivoting offers or scaling and all these other fun conversations. So that's been really meaningful to me. And then the other big change and meaningful project that I now have the bandwidth to focus on is my coaching school, the New Era Coaching Academy. I am a firm believer that as coaches, what we really want to do is help our clients. right? And I see so often the traditional coaching model getting in the way of serving clients. So we ran the pilot program in the fall for the New Era Coaching Academy, and we're enrolling again this coming fall to really help coaches understand how to walk the path of transformation, if you will, together with their client. And sometimes what that looks like is coaching them. Sometimes what that looks like is actually telling them what to do. So I'm going to talk more about that on another episode, but I just feel so excited and grateful to take what I think is unconscious competence for me, which is my ability to balance advising and coaching, my creative resourcefulness, and my emotional intelligence. And I am so excited to share those skills that I have with more coaches so that we can have an impact. So many things have changed, and it's been just a really important journey. And I'll tell you one other thing about it. 2025, I intentionally decided not to enroll into the Hive for a whole year. I mentioned it earlier, I'm kind of wired as this all or nothing person. And by really shutting down enrollment, we had members in the program, right? But we weren't bringing any new people in. It allowed me to have a little bit of space and time to reimagine the best shape of that offer so we could have the impact that we needed. And I could still accomplish my business goals and use my skills in all the ways that I want to be using them. So those are the big changes. And I guess the other big change in terms of like on the marketing side of things, when the podcast went dark, I really figured out how to prioritize list building and how to get really good at email marketing and how to host bundles in order to grow my list. So while the podcast, I didn't really have a great visibility strategy in a general sense, over the last year and a half, my team and I have done a great job of building my list and learning how to sell to them through email, thanks to bundles, which is now something I teach people in the Hive as well. Okay, so let's take a look at this next question. This one's about the return. At what point did you know it was time to come back, and what made this moment different from all the other moments when I didn't? I started to have people asking me like, hello, where are you? At the same time that I took a break from the podcast, I have been the worst social media marketer. I deserve a medal for like being so bad on Instagram. I'm not quite sure why I'm not ready to just decide I'm not doing social media anymore, but I sure as heck have not been doing social media. I'll like post a random carousel maybe once every 3 months or something. It's not good. And maybe the podcast now is going to motivate me to like get back on there. I'm not ready to give it up forever. But I started to have people kind of asking like, what the heck is going on? And now that the production part of the podcast, let me back it up and say it differently. Thanks to Tori Boats, I realized, the podcast does not have to be such a heavy lift, leaving no time for marketing or other things. We can simplify it through automations. And when I realized that, I started to reimagine what the impact of the podcast could have if it wasn't costing me so much to produce and if I was less precious about it. So Tori really, really helped me with that, as well as our podcast coordinator, Susie. So the timing was right. I think automations and AI have advanced so rapidly in the last couple of years. And Tori is really good at figuring out how to leverage those things in order to make podcast recording and producing super effortless. So that part of it was really easy. And if I'm honest, I really miss the show. I love coaching so much. And small groups, that's probably my favorite way to coach, right? Hive Q&As, it's amazing to me how much ground we cover in 90 minutes twice a month. It's so cool. But there's something really special about having a one-to-one conversation that lasts 35, 45, even 60 minutes long. And I have been missing that. So I'm so grateful to bring it back and to have the show back. Okay, so let's see. These next questions are about what's different. So There's like 4 of them. They all look really short, so I'm going to read them and then answer. So what do you want this show to be like now that it's back? Oh, good question. What are you most excited to talk about? What are you done talking about? Oh, these are good. I got to do them one at a time. Okay. So what do you want this show to be now that it's back? I want it to be the entry point for you to take your business deeper and take it further. Whether that's with me inside of one of my programs or on your own, we're going to ensure that this show remains really, really actionable. And I also want to emphasize, and this part's different, coaching skills on this show. So one of the cool things we're going to be doing is kind of like a director's cut, a behind the scenes coaching. So I'm going to take older episodes and review them and talk through with you like where I messed up, where I could have gone deeper, why I made certain decisions, and highlighting different coaching skills that I think will help you be the best coach you can possibly be, which I'm so passionate about. The other thing, and I'm like sweating thinking about this, but I'm going to say it here, so you're going to hold me to it. In the very early episodes of Coaches on a Mission, actually back when it was called the Six Figure Coach Club, I tried getting coached on the show. We had like a couple of episodes. And then I realized this isn't working because I'm being performative. I was trying to get coached on issues that I thought my audience needed to be coached on. I've been doing this for a long time. My business is at a very different place than most of my clients. So it just wasn't getting coached kind of on fake things was not working. I also for all you Enneagram lovers, I'm a 3, so I don't like not looking like I don't know what I'm doing. So I was like performing being a coaching client instead of actually being a coaching client. So we're going to bring that back because I think it's such a cool way to showcase an expert's knowledge and style and expertise rather than an interview. And I am actually going to be coachable. So look forward to having guest experts come on the show and coach me on a legitimate opportunity or obstacle that I am up against. I'm going to bring an open heart and an open mind, like I ask my guests to do, and get coached. So hopefully you'll start to see different sides of me and like the good, the bad, and the ugly, right? Another question here that I think is so fabulous. What are you done talking about? Okay, if you're in the Hive, you hear me screaming about this a lot, but it deserves a platform here. I alluded to it earlier. I think the online marketing world, in an effort to course correct from bro marketing, if you will, I think we have overcorrected. And there are a lot of us, I am one of them, who unconsciously fall into this thinking of like nurture, 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 nurture. If I nurture enough, I'll deserve the opportunity to sell. And maybe I won't even have to sell because people will be so impressed and like me so much they'll just hire me. I think we've got nurturing all wrong. And I feel like I've talked about this a lot, but I'm going to say it here on the podcast. In particular, when it comes to content, right? We've all been taught we got to nurture our list and we send free content and it's through email and it's once or twice a week and we just help people gain traction. And that's all fine, right? But that is a fast track to being put in the friend zone. It's also not client-centered because I don't care how good your email is. I don't care how many Substack articles you're writing. It's not the same as being in a coaching container. And this is more important than ever because ChatGPT can answer any question we ask it. The quality of the answer is a big question, but boy, that fast feedback loop sure feels good. So information is everywhere, much more than it was even just 2 years ago when I stopped recording the show. So what is it now that we as coaches really need to do? We need to hold a container where our client is held accountable, where our client is not only given advice, but asked deep questions to uncover things about themselves that you almost can't see if you're not being witnessed by another person. We have to create community, and we have to make it easy for people to invest in those things so that they don't just end up having ChatGPT be their coach. So I am no longer only doing nurture content. I want to invite you to do the same. Now, this doesn't mean we're just firing off sales emails every week. What it means is we stop making it so freaking hard for people to hire us. Every email I send out now has a very clear call to action to either get on a wait list or buy something. And that is intentional because that is where the real work happens. So it's interesting, this evolution I have had around nurturing. And I think the best nurture content is content that gets someone thinking, gets someone feeling a certain sort of way, and shows them what to do with those new feelings and new thoughts. So that is an evolution that I have been on. An analogy I often give is I tell the story of Ulta. So my daughter's 11, and boy, does she love lip gloss. She's not allowed to wear makeup, but she's allowed to wear lip gloss, and she loves it. So we love going to Ulta. And here's what we know. We get in the car to drive to Ulta. We have no idea what we're going to buy, but we know we're going to buy something. I get reward points from Ulta, which means I'm on their email list and they send me emails. Ulta does not nurture me. They don't. They send me emails highlighting new products, telling me who the product is for and why it may or may not work for me, reminding me of the stores that are close by and giving me a heads up about sales or discounts that are on the way. That is the relationship I have with Ulta, and that's the relationship I want to have with Ulta. So coming back to this idea as coaches, yeah, we can nurture people and we can sell to them at the same time. So nurturing and nurturing alone is a conversation I am done having. And I really hope that you're going to join me in that and start serving your client more deeply by selling more often. Okay, so before I say goodbye, I just want to tell you what you can expect. The majority of our shows are going to be like they have been in the past, where you're going to hear me coaching in real time. Different Hive members or Power Group members, or maybe even students inside the New Era Coaching Academy are going to come to me with an opportunity or an obstacle, and we're going to coach around it. You're going to be a fly on the wall listening to those conversations. Not only are you going to learn actionable strategies, you're also going to learn coaching skills just by listening. And I promise I will help you take what you learn on this show further inside different ways to work with me. Okay? So as I mentioned, will also bring guest experts on the show to coach me. I'm so vulnerable, but I'm going to do it. It's a really cool way to showcase people. And I want you to get to know me as the human rather than just me, the expert, so we can have a different kind of relationship together. The other type of episode you will hear occasionally are those behind the scenes episodes where I'm going to break down previous podcast recordings and show you like what worked, what didn't, why I did what I did, and where the conversation went from there. So we're mixing it up a little bit, and I'm just so excited to move forward. So today is July 1st, and we're going to drop the first coaching episode this coming Sunday. And then you'll get episodes most Sundays, unless we're on hiatus. And like I said, we're going to be working in seasons, which should be a relief to everybody involved. Okay, so if this is the first time you're hearing the show, perfect timing. Thank you so much for joining me. Please like and subscribe, share this episode. Put it on your calendar to listen every weekend and really get the most that you can out of it. If, like me, you've been missing the show and you used to listen all the time, I'm just really grateful to be back. And I want to thank you for sticking around. And I look forward to the next chapter together. So with that, welcome to Coaches on a Mission. I'm your host, Dallas Travers, and I will see you back here on Sunday. Thanks, everybody.